Thank you for that. And before I get into my questions, I want to emphasize as well, the U.S. citizens that still go to Iran is stunning to me. Recently, I had the Swiss ambassador to Iran in my office. She and the Swiss act as our on-the-ground liaison since we do not have diplomatic relations. They know of tens of thousands of our citizens who are there, and they suspect that it may be more. So if anything, if we want to talk about bipartisan agreement, please do not go to Iran. And so we, the government, and we as citizens aren't ever put in that situation. So I wanted to emphasize that is a public service announcement from the Oversight Committee, if that's okay with the ranking member. So I'm going to start with my questions with Assistant Secretary Rosenberg. What is the Biden administration's policy reason for allowing the transfer of money from Iraqi banks to Iraqi dinar, in Iraqi dinar, to France, Germany, Italy, and Oman, the last two waivers that covered those, and to be then converted from dinar to euros? Basically, what I'm wanting to know is the why, and then secondarily, who requested this move? So, Secretary.
Thank you very much for the question. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to this. As a point of clarification, the money was earned in euros, so it never changed. There was never a FX transaction. It was earned in euros. And
what do you mean by earned in euros? I mean, this was electricity that was sent from Iran to Iraq. The Iraqis paid for it in euros?
That's correct.
So it was never in Iraqi dinar?
That's correct.
Okay, and it's my understanding, though, that the law says that it is meant and intended to be in the local denomination.
I will defer to my colleague from the State Department to discuss the waivers that were put in place originally by the last administration that allow for Iraq to purchase energy from Iran.
So they haven't been converted to euros because they were in euros, is your testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Why is that necessary?
It's necessary. It's the Iraqis have the opportunity to pay for that in either dinar or euros, and they paid for it in euros.
All right. As we've discussed, Oman is one of the countries. So the money that's, whether it's in Italy, France, or was in Germany, or is in Oman, is in euros, is your understanding?
It's in euros.
Okay. Why is Oman one of the countries granted a waiver to receive Iranian funds from Iraq? Why Oman?
We have worked with the financial institutions in Oman to create the structure for restrictions on these finances.
Do you have greater confidence in the Omani banking system than you do in the Qatari banking system, or the Italian banking system, or the French banking system?
Speaking specifically to the funds in question, I think that we're here today to discuss, so funds in Qatar and funds in Oman. We've worked very carefully with...
But the waiver says Italy and France twice, the last two waivers, and Germany. I'm curious why Germany is no longer in that waiver, and maybe Mr. Paley is going to have to answer that, but I want to continue with you.
I'd happily defer, since these are State Department waivers, so I'd happily defer to my colleague to speak to the text of the waiver.
Okay.
But with respect to the confidence that we have in the financial institutions in Qatar and in Oman that hold this money, we've worked on creating a structure for the restriction of these funds and a whole series of levels of compliance in order to examine the money and any potential requests for transfer.
And we had testimony previously that there's no written agreement on that. There is no letter, but there is a letter, but not a written agreement. But have there been any humanitarian transactions facilitated from the Iranian funds held in Oman?
There have been 2 transactions.
2 transactions, okay. I know Mr. Paley had said there had been none out of Qatar, but there have been out of Oman. Have there been any issues or problems identified in the transactions facilitated from the Iranian funds held in Oman?
I'm familiar with the request from the chair regarding some matters related to the financial institutions. We have prepared a response to that, and that will be forthcoming, I believe, today. It would be inappropriate for me to speak in an open setting here about the financial institutions in detail, although we'd be happy to, in a closed setting, speak more about that particular matter.
So this is yes or no. You're not giving us any information. Have there been problems or issues with those transfers?
The transactions themselves, yes. We have confidence in the series of restrictions that we have in place and the due diligence around.
Okay, Ms. Rosenberg, you're sliding into bureaucrat speak now. I mean, you're going soft around the edges on this. It's a simple question. Now, your answer can be what I interpret is I can't answer it in this open setting, but have there been problems?
I appreciate the question, and we would be happy to, in a closed setting, speak to you more about the particular transactions.
So we will take that as a yes. And all right, so my time has expired.